And now, the blame game between power distribution, generation and transmission companies took center stage in the third quarter of this year.
Yes, indeed. Well, we have in the studio a guest who's just joining us. We'll be looking at power.
The power sector.
The power sector.
Yeah.
So much has been said about power. In fact, we've heard from the Minister for Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, that we're actually generating upwards of about 7,000 right now.
But how many Nigerians have a power supply?
Absolutely. And then there's the metering issue, which is still a major challenge. There was a projection that some 3 million Nigerians will be metered. But where are the meters? Still nowhere to be found.
There is the problem of defective data gathering in the power sector, because they're saying that about 6 million households are there in Nigeria for 180 million people.
All right, we have an energy expert who will break it down for us. Sheson Okwade is joining us to discuss this morning. Good morning to you, and thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Should we start with the issue of privatization, which we believed would have moved the power sector far beyond where it is right now, in terms of positively, far beyond where it is. But alas, we're here. Sarah, for example, has told us that we've spent about 11 trillion on darkness in this country.
Since Obasanjo's administration.
Since Obasanjo's administration, of course.
Yeah, from where you picked it from, the privatization aspect of it, the knowledge of you having a wrong foundation, whatever you build on it is bound to collapse. The privatization scheme, as far as people like us are concerned, is a scam. You don't give the administration of things to people that don't have understanding of it. You don't go into a business because you have money. You must have the skill and the passion. What we have seen in the privatization scheme today is more or less like a failure. Like you said, we are paying for darkness, because some of the people that are there, they have the money, but they don't have the expertise to make things work. And that is why we are where we are today. In part of your intro, some of the things you said was that we are generating as much as 7,000. As at the end of this last quarter in September, we have over 6,800 megawatts that is being generated. And the transmission are actually pushing some of those things out. But you and I, we don't have supply in our houses.
Exactly.
Which definitely, as we go on, will break down.
Of course, in this privatization move that happened, the power sector got divided into three: the distribution companies, transmission companies, and generation companies. But now, the TCN is overseen by the government. Yes, the GenCos distribution companies have their own problems. There is the problem of not generating enough energy. There is a problem of not distributing enough energy. But the one the government is in charge of, distribution companies, seems to be the one that's getting almost all the blames by both sides, because they're saying that it has obsolete infrastructure. Nothing is enough, that the power generated and supplied to it is not the one it's distributing to the discos for usage.
The issue there is, as at the last count, which is the last week of September, the GenCo were able to generate about 6,835 megawatts, and the transmission company was able to push 6,700 out of that megawatt. But you and I could not get it because the distribution company themselves failed. Majority of the infrastructure with the discos is not working well. I can tell you authoritatively, majority of the disco are rejecting supply from the TCN.
Yes, we've heard that over and over again.
And GenCos say TCN is also rejecting supply.
You got to. It's just a replica effect.
Wow.
You are the last consumer. You see, it's all started from you and I. Most of the people in the environment reject supply from the distribution company because they are not being accurately billed. There is no meter to accurately bill me, and you are giving me estimated billing. And I got to tell you, I will not pay. Once I don't pay, definitely I'll put you in a tight corner. So when the disco are not getting the necessary revenue to pay to the transmission company, they have to tell you, oh boy, take it go. I got to reject. Then TCN are getting from Genco. TCN has to say, no, I'm not getting my money. Please don't transmit anything to me.
In your assessment, who do you think is the weakest link in this chain? We'll allow you to answer that when we come back from this quick commercial break. Stay with us. Let's there be light.
Yes, we are still doing a review of major sectors in the country for the last quarter, the third quarter of 2017. Of course, this time we're discussing power, the improvement or otherwise. And we've been talking to Sheson Okwandi. Before we went on break, she asked you a question. Who should be blamed?
Yes.
The issue is we should go to, from the last man that spoke on security, first thing we need to do is for you to win the confidence of the people. And how are you going to do that? The last consumers be able to have confidence. What we need now is making available their request. And what is their request? Meters. For them to pay accurately. Let me give you a small insight to this. If you have a meter in your house, you can manage your energy. What that transforms into is that you are relieving the transformer. Currently, because there is no meter in some people's house, we have some people, they will on their light from morning till night. It's just like you starting your engine without moving it. You leave it at home, you start the ignition, and you leave the car there working, wasting. But you cannot tell me that if you have a gauge, that you know that I'm starting this engine, if I leave it from morning till night, the credit will finish.
Yes.
And I have to replenish it. Nobody tells you to switch it off. So the foundation of it is for every individual, like they are advocating, to be metered.
So that's the starting point.
One. And
that will solve multiple problems all at once.
Because you now have the confidence of the people. Once I'm metered, I manage my supply, the transformer is relieved.
But you wonder why that has not been done, why few Nigerians are metered.
The question is, there is a particular open letter that was written to NEC by one young man that I read in the papers of, you know, opening the business. I'm sure Fashola read the paper, and I think a few weeks later, he was in a meeting with the distribution heads in Kaduna, and that was when he gave the promise that he wants to roll out 3 million meters. Up till now, we are not seeing anything. They read that, they don't have the idea. I was expecting that they would put a call through to the young man that wrote that thing. What was the thing that the guy wrote? He said, what is the gain of every disco in selling meters? NEC said meters is free. Number one, that is a wrong policy. Why do you have to give the consumers free meters? Do they give you free phone to make calls? No. The fundamental of it, you cannot build a gigantic house and what you're expecting is free meter. Somebody that is going to monitor what you are going to pay for. So number one out of it is that they should open up the business for other people to invest in. How do you go about it? You have meter service providers. All you need to do is to put the structure. These are the type of meter you want. There are things they need to do. We have the STS group where you can have a different type of meters communicating in the same way.
Okay.
And you open up the business. Buy your meter, I buy my meter. Give the ownership right to me. I'm buying my meter. If you like, go and buy China meter. If you like, buy Europe meter. It's all what you need. But for the disco, what they need to do, rather than concentrating on that, you now pick on the meter service provider to make sure that they do the right installation, they monitor well, and you gain your money. So with that, you have opened the business for so many people to invest in, not the disco investing. So once you now have multiple people having the meter, you discover that, let me give you this example.
Yes.
It's personal. I got a prepaid meter for my father-in-law in Ibadan. And you know what he do? Every day, once it's 9 o'clock, you switch it off. He tells you, I don't sleep with fan. There is supply. What does he want to do? He wants to conserve his energy.
I know someone in Ibadan, so I understand.
He wants to conserve his energy. Because the weather is very fair, it's accommodating, he doesn't need fan, he's an old man, he doesn't need AC, so he wants to sleep with the cool, fresh air. What else does he need the supply for? Switch it off. At that point in time, it's not reading. If you have so many people doing that, you are relieving the transformer.
So what do you make, hold on, what do you make of the 39 billion naira that's been set aside for meters, for discos, that the government decided to give the discos this loan. Of course, you have Labour who have frowned on it and said, no, that's not the way to go. This is a privatized company in the first place. Why give them loans?
The truth of the matter is, the same way we've been saying it in time past is what we're still going to experience. That is just a free fund for some people to enjoy. I've just given you a template of what somebody developed.
Yes.
Let private people, this is a private company. There are meter service provider. What they do basically is to bring, you see, that meter you are looking at is beyond what you're seeing. It can do a lot of things. Not just to capture your reading and go and vend it. There are a lot of things. There are so many meters that are even out there that are obsolete.
Okay, that is at the end of the power generation chain. But let's go to the beginning of it, the generation chain of it, the GENCOs. The problems with developing them. Because Nigeria is supposed to generate at least close to 19,000 megawatts or so for all the citizens to get enough power supply. But then we are celebrating, or the government is celebrating generation where it's up to 7,000 megawatts.
7,000.
So what really is the problem with GENCOs, and how can it go about solving them?
Let me tell you why I don't see much of problem with GENCO. You can only improve when somebody push you to the wall. The one they are generating now is not maximally being utilized. What is the essence of improving it? When demand outsources the supply, you'll be forced.
To supply.
Nothing is forcing them now. Nothing. Somebody is generating 7,000. In the last few weeks, so many of them are rejecting the supply to TCN. TCN is rejecting back to you. How do you want me to invest to improve that? I am not so much concerned about generation for now. But situation where we will maximally optimize that supply that is given to us. Nobody will tell you to improve that generation.
So how can that be achieved? How do we untie this Gordian knot?
The Gordian knot is the pressure should be. We should liberalize the fundamental area now is metering. Metering. That is the language everybody understands. Open the chain, set up. We have the meter text lab that controls the regulation. There is a standard meter that is expected. There is what we call SCS with this metering code. There are metering codes, there are everything. So you don't bring shambles. So all you need to do is let the NEC, if they are listening, set up a policy. Set up the metering service provider. Let them be the intermediary with the disco. Bring in your meter. But we have a specification. They install the meter. The disco now monitors. So when everybody is having that confidence of like, I'm paying what I am actually consuming, then we can spread it more. Then you discover that what the GENCO are actually supplying to TCN is not enough. Then we'll put them under pressure.
So when the discos say that it's cost-reflective tariff that is at the root of us not getting power, what do you make of it? You are saying metering is where the problem is, and that is where the solution is also.
Yeah. My issue is,
without metering, can you achieve cost-reflective tariff, really?
The issue is, can NEC sit down? The current tariff they are giving to us, can they break it down? What is actually the cost? Because part of what they explained was that the cost of giving you meter is embedded in the MITO. That's why the tariff was increased. For transparency's sake, let them tell us what is the cost per kilowatt. If you are going to provide meter, this is the cost for meter of what they're charging you.
But when they are paying for meters already, they're paying.
Nobody's paying. No, meter for now is free.
It's free, of course, over the desk. But I've got many people telling me that they paid to get meters.
The payment you are making is for individuals, not for no disco currently charged anybody to get meter across the disco. Nobody, it's free meter to everybody, and they make the publicity go to IE, Eko, Enugu, Abuja. Every meter they are giving to everybody, but you know an average Nigerian.
But are the meters even available in the first place?
Where would they get? They just gave the 39 billion loan. Have they gotten it? Have they accessed it? Like I told you, it's just a free fund for some people. Pardon me.
All right, let's looking at improving the power sector. Nigeria, of course, is still generating power basically from the dams, the hydropower generation. Many have talked about moving ahead, advancing, being the largest economy in Africa, using gas to generate power. Of course, we understand Nigeria has gas deposit more than crude oil deposit. So why not even use that to generate more power for the people? Like
I said the other time, all these things are there, and there are still experts who understand those bases very well, but nothing is pushing them. Some of us came into this particular because of the passion we have for it. I move more with the disco than the Genco because I want to go to the, I'm a grassroots person. You don't go to the top and start building the house. You start from the root. And where's the root? Build the confidence of the users. And that is via metering. When the demand that we need this supply is high, I'm telling you, nobody will force the Genco, whether to go through turbine, through gas, through hydro, through anything. Those things will fall in place. But I'm telling you that the Genco are even losing revenue.
Someone spoke to me.
It's a wrong investment now.
Yes. Someone spoke to me 2 weeks ago. I want to get clarity since you know a lot about this sector. Someone spoke to me 2 weeks ago. The person uses prepaid meter in his house. And then the community he lives in, somehow, yes, the transformer is functioning, but somehow the people that do not get enough power supply as expected, knowing that they have prepaid meters already, but the neighboring community that doesn't have prepaid meter installed gets regular power supply. So the man said, someone told him that it's even employ somehow by the Gencos so that they can do estimated billing of communities that do not have prepaid meters.
You see, the issue of metering is going to provide so much solution, which I will explain this to you. Currently, majority of the people there, they have actually, their transformer is being metered. But some of the people that are using prepaid, between you and I, are bypassing the meter, and the discos are not aware of it. So you discover that what they get from the main source is different from what you get individually. So there is a gap.
Wow.
So they prefer to go to those that they will estimate to recoup their money. It's business. That's the truth. So part of what we need to do is give the opportunity, let these guys do what is needful, monitor in details, and you see this sector improving.
And of course, there's still the issue. There's still the issue of who pays for the, the cost of the lost energy. The lost power.
The people that pay currently are those estimated guys.
All right, okay, so Kwade, thank you for your analysis. Quite interesting, really. You're an energy expert. Thank you for your analysis.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.